I thought I had the perfect marriage until my wife asked for a break to sleep with another man. Her best friend helped her and then came to me with proof, hoping I would leave my wife for her. They both betrayed me, so I arranged a meeting where their secrets were exposed and their world came crashing down. My name is Alex, I'm 27 years old, and until about a month ago, I thought I had the perfect life. My wife, Lena, who is 25, was the center of my universe. We've been together since college, married for 5 years, and I truly believed we were one of those couples that would make it. We had our routines, our inside jokes, our shared dreams. We communicated. We trusted each other. Or so I thought. The change was subtle at first. It started a few months ago after her best friend, Chloe, went through a messy divorce. Chloe is 24, and ever since her own marriage imploded, she seemed to take a grim satisfaction in pointing out the supposed flaws in everyone else's relationships. Suddenly, our quiet nights in were boring. My stable job was unadventurous. Our plans to save for a bigger house were tying Lena down. Lena started spending more and more time with Chloe. After their nights out, she would come home with a strange energy, a mix of agitation and sadness. I'd see her staring at me across the dinner table, her mouth slightly open as if she was about to say something important, only to shake her head and look away. It felt like I was living with a stranger who was wearing my wife's face. The comfortable silence we once shared was now filled with a tense, unspoken weight. The breaking point came on a Thursday night. Lena and Chloe went to a bar to let off some steam. We have our locations shared on our phones. It was never a spying thing, more of a convenience. If one of us was running late, the other knew where they were. Around 11 p.m. I saw she was still at a bar downtown, so I decided to do what I often did, go pick her up to make sure she got home safe. It was our thing. When I pulled up, she and Chloe were waiting outside. The car ride home was one of the most uncomfortable experiences of my life. The air was thick with whatever conversation I had just interrupted. Lena stared out the window, silent, while Chloe kept shooting me weird glances in the rearview mirror. When we got home and Chloe was gone, I asked Lena what was wrong. She wouldn't look at me. She just stood there, wringing her hands, and finally, the words tumbled out. She told me she needed space. She proposed a 2-week break. Not a breakup, she insisted, but a test. A test to see how strong our marriage really was. She said it was a chance for both of us to see if we truly missed each other, to see if we were together out of habit or out of love. My blood ran cold. I asked her where this was coming from. It made no sense. We weren't fighting. Nothing had happened. But she was resolute, almost as if she was reciting a script. The words didn't sound like hers. They sounded like Chloe's cynical, self-help podcast-fueled philosophy. I argued, I pleaded, I told her this was a terrible idea that would only create distance and mistrust. But she wouldn't budge. Reluctantly, feeling like I had a gun to my head, I agreed. I told her if this is what she truly felt she needed, I wouldn't stop her. But a dark, cold knot of suspicion was already forming in my gut. I knew this wasn't about testing our marriage. This was something else entirely, and I was going to find out what. So here I am, on day 1 of our break. She's packing a bag as I write this. I feel numb. Am I overreacting? Is this really a modern way to strengthen a relationship, or am I just the naive husband who is about to have his world torn apart? That's where my story begins. I'm facing a crossroads and I have no idea what's coming next. If you want to follow my journey and see how this unfolds, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. And let me know in the comments. What would your first move be if you were in my shoes? I could use some advice right now. Thank you to everyone who commented on my first post. Reading your thoughts, both cynical and supportive, helped me get through the first 24 hours. Many of you warned me that a break is just a free pass to cheat. That thought terrified me, but it also hardened my resolve. I wasn't going to be a passive victim in the destruction of my own marriage. The first thing I did was lean into her plan, but with my own twist. If she needed space, I was going to give her the best damn space money could buy. I used our savings to rent a beautiful, high-end apartment for her in a nice part of town for the week. I presented it to her as a surprise, a gesture of goodwill. "I want you to be comfortable while you figure things out," I told her, my voice betraying none of the acid churning in my stomach. She was stunned, and for a moment I saw a flicker of the old Lena, the one who would have been touched by the gesture. She hugged me and thanked me, saying I was making this difficult situation easier. In reality, I was building a stage. The second thing I did was make a phone call. My best friend, Mark, is a former police officer who now runs his own private investigation firm. I told him everything. He listened patiently, and when I was done, he said the 5 words I needed to hear. "Your gut is never wrong." He knew I wasn't thinking clearly, so he laid out a logical plan. If Lena was being influenced by Chloe, or if she was planning something, the new apartment would be the place it would happen. He suggested we install a few discrete, motion-activated cameras. One in the main living area, one facing the front door. It felt like a massive violation of privacy, and a part of me screamed in protest. This was my wife, the woman I loved. But a louder, colder part of me knew that the man who loved that woman needed to know if she was gone for good. We installed them the day before she moved in. The first day was quiet. I watched the camera feed intermittently from my own empty house, feeling like the world's biggest creep. Lena mostly slept, ordered a pizza, and watched movies. My heart ached. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe she really just needed to be alone. That evening, Chloe arrived. The audio from the camera was crystal clear. I sat there, in the dark, and listened as Chloe poisoned my wife's mind in real time. She praised Lena for her bravery. She talked about the thrill of being single, the freedom, the attention from new men. Lena sounded hesitant. She said, "I don't know, Chloe. Alex is a good man. He even rented this incredible apartment for me." Chloe's laugh was like nails on a chalkboard. "Oh, honey, that's called guilt. He knows he's been holding you back. This isn't about him being good. It's about you being free. You need to have some fun. Remember that guy at the bar the other night? The one you were totally vibing with before Alex showed up and ruined it? A break means you can explore that. No strings, no guilt. It's the perfect opportunity." That was the first dagger. The night I picked her up, she hadn't just been talking to some guy. She had been vibing with him, and she had hidden it from me. The conversation continued, with Chloe pressuring Lena to go out with her, to live a little. They left for a bar a short time later. Lena came back very late, alone, and stumbled into bed. I felt a small wave of relief, but it was short-lived. The seed of deceit had been planted, and I knew it was only a matter of time before it sprouted. The next 2 days were a slow-motion nightmare. What started with a manipulative conversation escalated into a full-blown betrayal that I watched from the front row. The morning after her night out with Chloe, Lena was on her phone constantly. She was smiling. It wasn't the sad, conflicted smile I had seen for weeks. It was a giddy, excited smile. And it wasn't for me. In what I can only describe as a catastrophic lapse in judgment, Lena seemed to have forgotten one crucial detail about our digital lives. Our iCloud accounts were linked. I saw the text notifications start popping up on my own devices. A new contact, a guy named Eric. The messages started innocently enough. "Hey, it's Eric from the bar. Had a great time talking to you." But they quickly escalated. Within hours, they were flirting openly. By the afternoon, the conversation turned explicit. He was telling her all the things he wanted to do to her. And she was loving it. She was sending him photos. Not just any photos. She sent him intimate pictures that I had taken of her. Boudoir photos we had done as a gift for our anniversary. Photos that were meant to be a sacred, private celebration of our love and intimacy were now being used as currency to impress a stranger. I felt a physical wave of nausea. This wasn't just cheating. This was a desecration of our history. On the 3rd day of her break, the inevitable happened. She went out, and she didn't come home alone. The camera feed showed her walking in with Eric. My heart hammered against my ribs, but it got worse. A few minutes later, the door opened again. It was Chloe, and she had a man with her as well. My gift to my wife, the safe space for her to think, had been turned into the venue for a double date from hell. I won't describe what I saw and heard over the next few hours. Let's just say I have footage of things that will haunt my dreams for the rest of my life. The sounds, the silhouettes. It was a level of betrayal I couldn't have imagined. I sat in my chair, watching the screen, and I didn't feel anger or sadness anymore. I felt nothing. Just a cold, empty void where my love for her used to be. I recorded everything. The next morning, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Chloe. "Hey Alex, hope you're doing okay. I'm really worried about Lena. Can we talk?" The audacity was breathtaking. I agreed to meet her for coffee. I needed to see what her game was. She sat across from me, her face a perfect mask of concern. She told me she had to tell me something, that her loyalty was ultimately to our friendship. Then, she proceeded to confess that Lena had slept with another man. She painted a picture of herself as the reluctant observer, the good friend who tried to stop it. Then came the master stroke. "I even have proof," she said, her voice a conspiratorial whisper. She pulled out her phone and showed me pictures she had taken the night before. Pictures of my wife with Eric. She had been documenting the betrayal, not to protect me, but to use as a weapon. I looked at the photos, then I looked at her, and I kept my expression perfectly neutral. "Thank you for telling me, Chloe," I said calmly. "This must be very difficult for you." Her goal was obvious. She thought that by exposing Lena, she could position herself as the hero, the one I could turn to for comfort. She wanted to shatter my marriage and then pick me up from the wreckage. Over the next couple of days, she made her move. She'd text to see how I was. She even showed up at my house unannounced with homemade lasagna, just to make sure you're eating. I let her in. I thanked her. And while she was there, I took a few pictures of my own, of her in my kitchen, making herself at home. The pieces of my revenge were falling into place. She thought she was playing chess, but I was about to overturn the entire board. With the cold, hard evidence in my possession, I shifted from a heartbroken husband into a methodical architect of ruin. My grief had crystallized into a diamond-hard purpose. There would be no shouting matches, no tearful confrontations. There would only be consequences. First, I called my lawyer. I forwarded him a compressed file containing everything: the camera footage, the iMessage logs, the photos Chloe had sent me, and the photos I had taken of her in my home. His response was immediate. "Don't speak to either of them. We have everything we need." Next, I changed the locks on the house. Our home was no longer her home. I systematically went through our finances, moving my own earnings and half of our joint savings into a new account at a different bank that she knew nothing about. I prepared 2 identical folders. Each contained a curated selection of the most damning evidence: screenshots of the text between Lena and Eric, still images from the hidden camera footage showing them together, and, most importantly, copies of the photos Chloe had taken on her phone. I sent one of these folders via a courier service with a 2-week delayed delivery to a very specific address: Lena's parents. The break week ended. Lena, blissfully unaware, came home. I can only imagine her confusion as her key failed to turn in the lock. Her calls to my phone went straight to voicemail. She drove to my office, but I had already given security a photo and instructions that she was not to be allowed on the premises for any reason. Her texts started flooding in. First confusion. "Alex, what's going on? I can't get in." Then feigned love. "Baby, I'm home. I missed you so much, this break was a mistake." Then desperation. "Please, just talk to me. I love you." I read every single message with a stone-cold heart and answered with silence. She went to her parents, who only knew that we were on a break and were completely in the dark. For a week, they all tried to contact me, leaving concerned voicemails. Lena apparently came by the house every day, hoping to catch me. She never did. The following Monday, my lawyer made his move. He had a process server deliver the divorce papers to Lena while she was at her parents' house. The eruption of drama was immediate, though I only heard about it later. Confusion turned to panic. Still, none of them knew why. That evening, I finally called her. I told her we needed to talk and that she should meet me at a specific upscale cafe the next day. I also sent a separate text to Chloe, inviting her to the same cafe, but telling her to arrive 1 hour later. Lena was already there when I arrived, her eyes red and puffy. "What is this, Alex?" she pleaded. "Did you find someone else? Is that it?" "No, Lena," I said softly, sliding one of the prepared folders across the table. "I didn't." She opened it. I watched as the color drained from her face. She flipped through the photos from the hidden camera, her hands shaking. She saw the screenshots of her texts with Eric. A sob escaped her lips. "Alex, I can explain. It was a mistake. Chloe." She pushed me. "I know," I said. Right on cue, the door to the cafe opened, and in walked Chloe, a triumphant little smirk on her face. She saw Lena crying and me sitting there stoically, and clearly thought her plan had worked. She was striding towards our table to console me. Lena looked up, saw her, and her eyes narrowed with confusion. "Lena," I said, my voice calm and even, "I have one more thing for you." I slid a second, smaller envelope across the table. She opened it. Inside were the photos. The ones Chloe had taken and shown to me. The photos that only the person who orchestrated the entire event could have. Lena looked at the pictures, then up at the approaching Chloe. And in that single moment, the entire, horrifying truth crashed down on her. She finally understood. It wasn't just that she had been caught. It was that her best friend had engineered her downfall, hoping to steal her husband. Lena shot out of her chair like a rocket. "You!" she screamed at Chloe. "You did this!" The confrontation was explosive. Accusations flew, turning into shrieks. It quickly devolved into a physical fight. Hair was pulled, drinks were thrown. It was a chaotic, ugly scene right in the middle of a fancy cafe. The staff called the police, and they were both arrested for disorderly conduct and assault. The video of two well-dressed young women brawling in a restaurant went viral in our local community forums. My revenge was complete. The plan worked, perhaps even better than I imagined. Both of them were exposed and faced legal consequences. But the story isn't quite over. Do you think this was the right way to handle it, or did it go too far? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The immediate aftermath of the cafe incident was messy. Lena and Chloe spent a night in jail, were released on bail, and eventually pleaded guilty to misdemeanor charges, which resulted in a fine and mandatory community service. Their viral fight video ensured their reputations were left in tatters. The divorce proceeded swiftly. My evidence was so overwhelming that Lena had no choice but to accept my terms. I kept the house and the majority of our assets. While the lawyers handled the details, the evidence package I had sent finally arrived at her parents' house. They are a devoutly religious family, and to say they were horrified would be an understatement. They were ashamed, heartbroken, and completely blindsided by their daughter's behavior. Lena tried to reach out multiple times, leaving long, rambling voicemails where she cried and begged for another chance, promising she would sign anything, do anything. I never responded. A week before the divorce was finalized, I received an unexpected request for a meeting from her parents. I agreed, curious as to what they could possibly want. We met in a neutral location. They were broken people. They apologized profusely for their daughter's actions and the shame she had brought. Then they made me an offer that stunned me. They said they would cover all of my legal fees. Furthermore, they would give me $30,000 cash as a personal apology and compensation for my pain. There was only one condition. They asked that 1 year from that day, I agree to have a single dinner with Lena. Just to talk. They weren't asking me to take her back. They just wanted her to have a chance, after a year of reflection and therapy, which they were insisting she attend, to properly apologize face to face. They said she would sign the divorce papers on my terms regardless, but this one chance at a future conversation was their desperate hope for her redemption. I thought about it. It was a no-lose situation. I would get the divorce I wanted, have my legal costs covered, and receive a significant sum of money. All I had to do was agree to a dinner a year in the future. If, when the time came, I didn't want to go, I didn't have to. The money was not contingent on me actually showing up, only on me agreeing to the arrangement now. So I agreed. The divorce was finalized, the money appeared in my new bank account, and I got on with my life. The year passed faster than I expected. I healed. I focused on my career, reconnected with friends, and even started dating again casually. I found a sense of peace I hadn't felt in a long time. I almost forgot about the deal until Lena's father contacted me, saying the year was up and asking if I was still willing to meet. Against my own better judgment, I said yes. A part of me was curious. I chose the place, a quiet, simple diner, a world away from the fancy cafe where I had destroyed her life. When I saw her walk in, she was different. She looked healthier, but there was a profound sadness in her eyes that hadn't been there before. The arrogance and entitlement were gone. We sat down, and she spoke first. She apologized. It wasn't the hysterical, begging apology from her voicemails. It was a quiet, measured, and sincere apology. She took full responsibility for her actions. She told me the therapy had forced her to confront her own insecurities and how she had allowed Chloe's bitterness to validate her own fears about our marriage. She never once made an excuse. She told me she had cut Chloe out of her life completely on the day of their arrest and hadn't spoken to her since. She heard Chloe had moved out of state after being unable to shake the reputation she'd earned. She didn't ask for me back. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She just said she knew she needed to say it to me for her own recovery and to give me the closure I deserved. We talked for about an hour. I listened. When she was finished, I told her I appreciated the apology and that I was happy to see she was getting help. I told her I had moved on, and I genuinely wished her well in finding her own happiness. Then I paid for the meal, we said a polite goodbye, and I walked out. It felt like closing the final page of a very long and painful book. I felt free. The next day, I took $10,000 of the money her parents had given me and donated it to a local charity for victims of domestic abuse. The rest I used for a down payment on a small investment property. My revenge was complete, but my recovery was my true victory. I took betrayal and turned it into a foundation for a new, stronger, and more honest life. And that's the end of the story. Thank you for following me on this insane journey. It was a dark time, but I came out the other side stronger. If you want to hear more stories like this, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Thank you for watching.